Welcome to Taking the Leap into Commercial Real Estate, the #1 podcast dedicated to helping you get comfortable in the commercial real estate arena and equipping you with the latest market news, insights, and strategies you need to make informed decisions about investing. Now, let's get into today's episode with your host, Angel and Brittany Gonzalez.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for coming back with us in the show, Taking the Leap in a Commercial Real Estate podcast. I'm your host, Angel Gonzalez. I have my co-host here, Brittany Gonzalez, and we have the pleasure to have our special guest here, Merrick Lee. And right off the bat, we're just going to jump right in and ask, can you please introduce yourself and tell us what it is that you do?
Sure. Hey, everybody. Merrick, just like Angel said. My answer is going to be multifaceted, so I might have to take you on a journey in order to answer it. But, bear with me. We will get to the end of the line. Just bear with me. And so my journey really started in digital marketing. And so actually, I'm going to go a little step further. When I went to college many moons ago, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. And so I decided to major in both aviation and business. I wanted to fly planes because my favorite Disney character was Peter Pan. And I figured, if I could do what he's doing, which is flying, I probably would be very happy. I'll be a kid all the time, right? And so when I was younger, me and my cousin would always play this game, Flight Simulator, and he would take it extremely serious. But me, I wasn't serious. I just wanted to fly. I didn't care about landing or anything safety-wise. I just wanted to fly. And so, I went to school for that. Lo and behold, he's now a pilot. Fast forward, he took it serious and he's good now. So there's that. But then when I went to school, I decided that I was going down that road, aviation and business. And so I was up there. I got a lot of hours. I passed my FAA tests. And right before I was getting ready to get my license, we have to do our solo, which I did. And that was the most scariest situation ever. Just imagine you next to an instructor that's always going to bail you out. The wind hits you while you're landing, the plane goes sideways, and, they can help you kind of bring it back. And so, of course, they teach you to be calm and to, know what to do in those situations, which I did. But eventually I had to solo. I had to fly all by myself, where I get in the plane, he jumps out the plane. He's like, all right, I need you to do your takeoffs and landings alone. And so it took me about 110 takeoffs and landings before I got to this point to get to the solo. I go up, I do my whole, check and all that. I'm talking to the tower, I'm heading crosswind. I'm heading to base, heading to final. I come down so fast and I'm not realizing it because I'm still I'm kind of afraid because I don't have my instructor there. I come down extremely fast. I bounce off the runway, bounce like 5 times. And then eventually I just realized, okay, cut power. You need to you need to slow down. So I slow down, I cut power, I finally land. I'm running out of runway now. So I'm either going to run into the gate, destroy this plane, and, probably my family's going to help me pay for this plane. It's going in my head. This is all happening at a rapid pace. I go full power, I take off, right? We call it a touch and go. So I do that. And then I'm like, all right, we didn't die. We're okay. Right. So I come around and then I land the plane, no problem. Another time, the second time, then I landed 3 more times after that. And then by the last time I was calm, I was fine. It was okay. And then I come out the plane. My instructor's like, that first one was interesting, And so as we're still, he's still instructing me. We're still kind of learning and stuff like that. I realized this ain't what I want to do. This is not it, right? There was that. And then an alumni guy came 2 years after graduating from the aviation class or school. And then he told us that, I'm making $30,000 after graduating. Our tuition was like $35,000. So for me, the math wasn't mathing. It just didn't make sense. It was like, wait a second. I'm going to make less than when I'm paying to go to school. This just doesn't make sense. So I was just like, whoa, let's park the brakes. This is after I passed my test for the FAA. Yeah. I didn't get my license yet, but I almost got my pilot's license before my driver's license because here in New York, you don't need to drive. You just take the subway, mass transportation, you're good. And so, it was weird because my grandmother, she would laugh about it. Like, Merrick is literally about to get his private license, but doesn't drive cars. Like, just weird, very weird situation. So anyways, I never did that. And then I went into business. And the reason why I wanted to go into business is because of my father. Like, my father was a bank, like he worked at a bank. And I was just like, all right, this is what I got to do. My uncle, my father both worked at a bank. Let's do this. So eventually, of course, you have your prereqs. And then I ran into marketing. And for whatever reason, it just fit like a glove. It just felt like this is a place I'm supposed to be. It just being able to create, being able to just take things and look at trends and understand where things are going. And it just really made just a sense of, it just gave me like a lot of, what's the word that I'm looking for? It gave me a lot of freedom, but it gave me a lot of creativity that I was just kind of missing with every other class that I took. And so I just went forward with that. And in my mind, after like getting like 120 on some of my like presentations and tests, I'm thinking I'm going to be the CEO of Walmart when I come out of school. Right. I'm just guns blazing. Like, you know what? If I could beat all my teammates or all my peers, in the class when it comes to certain things, I'm going to be just fine when I get out there. I'm going to go ahead, and I actually applied for the CEO, or it was like an executive job or CMO or something of Walmart when I came out of school. I was just hyped. Of course I didn't get it. Not only did I not get that job, I didn't get any marketing job when I came out of school. It was like, okay, yeah, you're great at school, but we're in the real world. We need experience, right? And so I couldn't get anything. And so it took me a while until one of my first roommate, his name is Brian. Actually, his book is right here. And I have it here purposefully just to shout him out.
Oh, nice.
And so Brian, my first roommate, he decided to get into this online marketing field. And lo and behold, I saw he had a company, and I said, hey, Brian, how can I be a part of this? Like, can you teach me? Can I work for you for free? Like, I honestly just need the experience because I can't get a job. And I just would love to learn what you're doing because it seems like you're thriving, and can you just teach me? He's like, sure, absolutely. I'm going to give you a couple tasks, and then I'll teach you everything that I can, to help you be successful. And so for like 6 months, I worked for free, didn't get anything. But what I did get was experience, a lot of it. And so he taught me about like search engine optimization. He taught me how to run campaigns, affiliate marketing. Like, I made $90 like my first hour of affiliate marketing. It was amazing. Like, I just felt so just empowered. And then eventually I started getting creative. And, me, I'm a tech person. I love to develop things. So I got into website building. I got curious, decided to start building apps. And so I was able to kind of mold it all together to where I ended up getting a job kind of in the MarTech sphere. And then I started getting more creative with things when it comes to online marketing, to where, like, with search engine optimization, for any of those that are listening, if you Google the coolest guy on the internet, you get me. You guys can try it. You don't have to do it right now. You can try it if you want. Actually, try it. Try it. While we're on air, try it. This is live, everybody. Everybody tuning in. This is live. This is not me on his computer. I'm in New York. He's wherever he's at. She's wherever she's at. I'm going to have him do it live just so, you can tell me if I'm wrong. The coolest guy on the internet. And so
that's you.
That's me. And so, so I learned a lot, and it shows. And I want to give again a shout out to Brian for teaching me. Of course, it was a big leap of faith for me to kind of work for somebody that was your peer for free and try to gain all the knowledge. But as you can see, it really kind of helped. And, not only do I do it for myself, but I do it for other companies. Like, I am a digital marketer by trade. That's what I do. And so the last year, fast forward, that was many moons ago. We're going to fast forward a bit. Like, I don't know if there's like a special sound effect that,
We don't have, sorry. We're not that cool quite yet. We're working on it.
We're going to need somebody to develop them for us so that we can make out the transition calls.
Yeah. And so anyways, many years I would sit down with my family and we would always watch HGTV. Like, that was, honestly, we paid for cable, $100, $200, whatever it was, for one channel to just watch HGTV. House Hunters, Color Splash. We watched Love It or List It was a big one. Like we always cared about like, how can we add value to properties and how do you kind of get the cost to go up? Like when we're looking at people buying houses, how could we figure out what they're going to do? And so in my mind, I just thought I would love to be in that field. I would love to kind of be a part of it some way, somehow. I don't know how I'm going to get there, but I would love it. And so last year I came across an ad that was talking about multifamily, like value add. And so I looked at it and in my mind, for the longest, I thought that it would take, a long amount of years for me to save up the money to finally purchase a property that's like 10 million or whatever, like an actual apartment building. And so when I saw this whole syndication business, I said to myself, wait a second. So you're telling me that little old me can get a group of people together and we can just buy buildings and then I can finally realize my dream a whole lot faster than me trying to do it myself. And so I was like, all right, teach me more. Why not? So I go ahead and, I joined a mentorship. You might know it. And they trained us kind of about how to do it. Like, what do you need? How do you raise capital? Like, what's part of like these different asset classes? What's a fund of funds, right? And so after learning a lot of this stuff and being kind of in the boot camp, I would say, of it, and in going to different events, which we've met at that Raise Fest, which was pretty intense and pretty amazing. I had a great experience. I'm happy I went because I got to hang out with people like you and really kind of just soak it in, because this is brand new to me. Like me, I'm not even a year in, but I just feel like I've learned so much. And the support is overwhelming. Like, I just love being able to talk to, you and the other mentors that I have that really pour into us. And like, you're always available. Like if I ask, hey, can I have a conversation? I have a question about this. Like you guys will always be open and like honest about what's going on. And for me, it's helped me thrive. Like I've been able to acquire more investors. I've been, got my little podcast mic. I got my camera, I got my little setup, I'm trying to build out my little studio over there to make things a little bit better. And, it's really helping having some of the deal flow and seeing the different deals that are coming across the table and looking at what other people are doing. Because now I'm able to put other people in a position to now benefit from it. Like seeing the different deals that we have and seeing our other operators close and have, amazing like returns on the different investments that have been going on. Like I feel so confident that when I'm talking to other people, I'm just like, look, I would love to get you in one of these deals. Like, I might want to have to talk to Angel. I might have to talk to Stuart. I might have to talk to Senator. Like anybody, like a lot of you guys are making so much like progress when it comes to like having the deal flow and then being able to examine it and being able to add value to it. Like it makes a guy like me, it makes it easy for me because I get to talk to people and just use you guys and just say, hey, I just want to grab you and I just want to have you be a part of this deal over here because more than likely, hey, you're going to make out pretty good because look at all the other people that came after that also benefited from the deal. So, that's kind of where I'm at now, is just kind of placing and putting my piece to the puzzle of getting these different investors involved, getting them to understand what we're doing, and just kind of, growing that. Like I'm just kind of in the raise mode and the what's another word? Not just the raise mode, but the collection mode of like how many people actually want to benefit from this, and let me help you get there.
Man, I right off the bat, typically that's where Brittany jumps in. I'm like, first of all, thanks for staying alive so that we can have this kind of bouncing off the runways, okay? Like right there, okay?
No problem.
I typically there was a time, so I was a big fan. So there's two things I did like all my reports growing up on. It was either on tigers when it was an animal situation, or it was a F-16 Falcon.
Wow.
I was a plane guy. And I was like super into it. And then one day I was like, I'm going to fly a plane. And then I get on this podcast with Merrick and I'm like, I am going to watch other people fly planes. So
that's great.
So I just want to make sure you know that because I definitely want to make sure that my wife okays this. But I do want to just tell you, man, not only is your energy awesome, but your journey already is like, what is going on, my friend? But I will touch one thing that I really wanted to make sure I actually did highlight, though. I always believe that in life, there's we are winning at something or we're learning something. And when you took that chance to do something for free because you took the opportunity to invest in yourself, hey, I got to commend you for that. But I'm just going to hit it right there. It's like, what allowed you to feel that you could take that opportunity and say, hey, you know what? I'm rather learn for free, essentially. But what was it that you think initially just really got you to that point where you were able to do that?
Well, I think for me, I had to go through it. I am a Christian, by faith. I think I was going through a time in my life where I had to understand how to be humble. You come out of college fired up. Me, I could be very competitive sometimes. So I'm destroying my other peers in other classes, like business 400, marketing, whatever it takes, every communication, like every presentation. I'm just like telling my team, listen, I'm going to talk. You guys don't do anything. I just want you to take pictures and just, you don't even have to help with the slides. I'll do the whole thing soup to nuts because I was just that confident and I loved doing it. I just loved it. And so to go from that and like actually excelling and getting the good grades, I'm getting A's for all of my teammates. Like they don't have to do anything. Just sit home, just drink, do whatever you want to do, party, whatever. I don't care. I'm going to get the A. Don't worry about it. And so going from that and actually succeeding to coming out into the real world and then not kind of getting the same response back. Not, the A would be me getting the job. The A would be me getting the salary raise and all of that. But not having that had to make me sit back down and realize, okay, maybe you're not where you think you are. But you have an opportunity now from looking at Brian, who's excelling. He has his own company. He was maybe 4 years ahead of you, but you can now be in a position to learn from him and kind of collect those 4 years that he got, right? And if I'm able to collect the 4 years, not just with the experience, but if I can then work for his company and also benefit from, having that experience now on my resume, which was the biggest goal, now that kind of puts me in a better position. Because one, I got the skills, and two, I got the experience. So now I'll be able to then weaponize that to now use it, to go after other jobs. And that's exactly what I did. And I got a job. Like, it was like next week, it felt like. Once I was kind of done with Brian, no offense, Brian, when you hear this, but once we were done, I was ready. Which we're never done because here we are again. And I got a ton of books on Brian. So here we are again. Me promoting you, Brian. So when you watch this, I got your back. Don't hate me.
Oh, I love this. I literally have my cheeks hurting a little bit. You got me laughing quite hard. You definitely have it. And the one thing I really admire is your confidence. Applying for a CEO, a CMO, whatever the top role is, right? If we don't chase our dreams, if we don't go for it, and we always just stay like, I don't know, you aren't giving yourself the shot that you truly deserve, or you may have that opportunity to deliver upon. And also going to being humble, right? I feel all of us at some point in life either get humbled in a way we choose or a way that we just need to be humbled, right? Like whether we maybe wanted it at that time or not. But I think it really allows us the opportunity to learn not only about ourselves, but how we can have an impact on other people around us. And as you shared, you talked about your confidence and how you went and did from an airplane to doing 6 months of just volunteering to help a company, but I mean, it benefited you as well. What would you say to other people that are just coming out of college and just having that confidence and wanting to take a leap like you did, but how would you keep them humble to make the right decisions?
The way I would humble them is just looking at the lifestyle. Like what kind of lifestyle are you living right now? If, for example, if you want to get to a certain spot and you're not there, to me, that's you getting humbled by life, in a way. You're not where you're supposed to be, not where you want to be, but you want to get there, but you're not kind of there already. So I would say that's you being humbled by life. But the beautiful thing about life is every day we get to choose. Like every day for the most part, we're free to kind of choose and figure out what we want to do. And you have those 24 hours in a day to figure out exactly what you want to do in your life. And many people choose differently of what they want to do. We're all different people. We all have free will to choose what we want. But my thing is I think you should have a roadmap. You should design what your life should be. And sometimes in order to have that goal of where you want to be, you have to now figure out the roadmap, the gameplay of how to get there. And sometimes there's going to take sacrifice. For me, when I wanted to get into websites and apps, I was working a job and I had to basically have a book on website development. I would be on a bus to my job and I would read that book while on the way. It would be a 40-minute ride and I would sit there and just read about coding, div tags, all types of stuff, boring stuff, right? But it was interesting to me because I had a mission. I wanted to learn how to build a social network, which I did. And, there was all that. But you have to make sacrifices and, at the end of the day, you just got to be persistent and consistent. Like you have to show up every day. You have to show up, and every day you have to make, again, the sacrifices, knowing that sometimes I can't go drinking out with my friends. What I used to do, this is raw. Now let's get into it. What I used to do is that you can ask any of my friends this. This is how crazy like my life was. I want to say back in 2010. I would literally go to the club with my friends with my computer. I would sit there on the table. We would have drinks, right? They're dancing. I'm coding with my computer out in the club, music blasting. Cause I was on a mission because I wanted to learn so much. And I knew that whatever time I had, I needed to weaponize it to learning this tool, learning this trade. Because if I wasn't spending the time learning it, I'm losing the time. I'm going to have to eventually go to work where I'm going to have to, actually plug in the time to work. But then if I'm doing that, I'm not going to be learning how to do a new craft, a new trade. So I would use all of my idle time, however I could, like if my waking hours, if I'm on a bus, I'm reading a book on coding, or I have my computer with me on the bus, learning and testing new things. I'm in the club. I'm in the bar, sometimes even at dinner with my, computer out. I'm visiting family with my computer. My computer used to go with me everywhere. If I'm traveling, I'm in another country. My family's from Jamaica. I would go to Jamaica with my computer wherever I could go until I felt the confidence to where I started getting my own clients, building their sites. And then I realized, okay, you could take a step back. But even so, I realized taking a step back should never have happened because you get comfortable, you get a little bit comfortable, you make a little bit money, and then you kind of take your foot off the gas, which I'm realizing now, I never want to take the foot off the gas. Like even when I'm at my own job now, like I work for a tree company, I just want to be all the way. Like I just want to be number one. Like just like with that coolest guy on the internet, I wanted that spot for a reason. Like I wanted to be the coolest guy on the internet, which I am now. And now with the tree company I work for, I want them to be number one, right? We're number 3 in the nation, but I'm not leaving until we're number 1. Like that's just how I feel, right? Even if I'm going to get the passive income, I don't care if I have $10 million in the bank. I'm not leaving until we're number 1. Like that's just because you have to goal set and you have to be consistent and persistent. And I'm just that to a T. Like I want everyone around me to be better. Even when we started this, I just told you that I'm bringing the heat. I don't care. I want this to be best podcast ever. Every time I'm on a podcast, I want it to be the best ever. I want people to feel the movement. I want people, if you're feeling bad or feeling down. I used to have a depressing life. I used to feel down about myself and my own lifestyle, mostly because, my parents weren't together and stuff like that. And I'm in college watching how other kids that had both of their parents and how their lifestyle was so much different than what I had to deal with. And so I felt depressed and all this. But then I realized with the free will we have in life, we can design life however we want to. And when we decide to put our mind to it, to actually do it, and we start seeing those results, it doesn't matter. All that stuff doesn't matter. It's up to you. And so that's where my confidence comes from, is being able to be in a position where I can test things, I can do things, I can fail, get back up, and still see great results.
Man, that has got to be one of the best intros into my podcast of all time. Sorry, I said my podcast, Brittany. No, I'm just like, just joking. No, but on a serious note, it's interesting because, I got to tell you, first of all, kudos, man, because one of the things that already I can tell, and in our brief conversation here today, and when I met you, is it's a mindset. You have decided to own what I believe most people sometimes forget. The most important real piece of real estate is these 6 inches between here and here. And a lot of times people forget that. And I try to tell my family that quite often. You should hear it. My wife's probably sometimes like, can you just be quiet? And but I will tell you, man, that completely stands out. But I want to go ahead and hit this thing before we get too far away from it. HGTV. And the reason I want to hit this up is because I got to tell you, I'm an addict. All right, I'm a recovering addict. Maybe that's a better way to say it. Maybe I finally got a break from being a true addict because of Chip and Joanna going off in
Yeah.
their own spot, and all of a sudden, finally, I'm like, well, they were my favorite because it was that or Love It or List It. Like those
Yep.
shows are awesome. Brittany knows what I'm talking about. We are junkies, and so
Wow.
I gotta ask you, why HGTV? Because I got to tell you, I know for myself and kind of what it does for me when I watch it, but something about what you were saying and watching it and being an addict of that station, what do you think you were some takeaways or things that actually kind of drew you more into multifamily because of it?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I would say it was mostly it was creativity. Me, I have a marketing mind, so I'm kind of, in the creative world. But it was mostly like seeing that value realized, like being able to see. I forgot what the two names were, but on Love It or List It, let's just go to that show. I think her name was, what was her name? I forgot. I totally forgot what her
That's
name
all
was.
right. It's at least
Totally blanking. But there's a lady that wants you to keep it or love it, excuse me, and then there's the guy that wants you to list it and buy a brand new property. And so, just going off of that show, we could go to another show in a second, but let's just stay there for a second. So, on that show, one thing that I realized is that when you look at properties and you look at, like, sometimes we don't realize what we have right away. And so, as I think her name's Lori, we're going to say Lori. As Lori would take these properties from the people and, they have to live somewhere else, she would have this amazing ability to take whatever was there and just transform it into a brand new experience. Something that's just beautiful, that was just very just home-like, something that you just cared about and just added so much value to it. And so when I would watch that, I would just sit there and just kind of be in awe because she was just amazing at it. She would just go to like these different, thrift shops, find these different light fixtures. And then all of a sudden, when she was done, especially with her budget, and it was always a budget problem. There was always like, oh, I don't have enough money to do this, to do the upstairs or this bedroom. And it was always drama. I'm guessing that was for TV because, that's what TV is, drama. But she would always get something done and it would be amazing. And so I would watch that. And then on the flip side, we're going to call him John, we would see him going after these other properties that were already just immaculate. And then, at the end of the show, having to see the different homeowners have to figure out, okay, where do we stand on this? Do we go back to the home that we've lived in for the last couple of years? Or do we just go to a new place? And most of it kind of came down to value at the end of the day. It was the value of what was put into that place or the value that was in the other place. And so I've always, in my mind, I just thought, well, it'd be cool to be on either side. It'd be cool to be on the side of having a spot, and I look around my place now all the time saying to myself, what can I do better? Like what else, maybe I should put a plant here. Maybe I should put something over there, right? Change the color of the wall. And so that's part of the reason why when I saw the multifamily thing and I saw it was mostly about, okay, you're going to buy a place, but then before you exit it, you want to make it better. Not just better because you want to get more income out of it, but make it better for the people that are living there. It really kind of drew me in because it made me realize that not only will I do it for one homeowner like Love It or List It, I'll be able to do it for tens to thousands of people. Like I'll be able to buy a building that might have like 161 units and be able to kind of fine tune each and every family and give them a better experience than what they had. Give them the countertops they need. Me, I'm from New York. I live in an apartment building. I can't tell you how many people complain in this building right here about the different maintenance issues, like different inspection stuff. And I say to myself, if I owned it, how would I deal with that? And with multifamily, I realized, that kind of puts me in a position where I can answer that question. Like I kind of seen it. I've seen it on HGTV, and I realized I could put myself in a better position where I can call the shots. I can say, hey, we're going to change like a lot of things. We're going to hire a property management company that's going to do right by our tenants. we're going to look at the different maintenance issues every week, every Monday, we want to look at it and make sure that the last Monday, whatever was entered was addressed. If it wasn't addressed, we're going to have to talk to that property management company a little differently, because we want to make sure that our tenants are well taken care of. And we want to make sure that they can, in a way, have a sense of pride for where they live. Because that's kind of what you saw when you looked at Love It or List It. Like, they had pride when they came back to their house and they saw it in a better way. That kind of made them say, you know what? We're not leaving this place. We're going to love it. And that's what I want to do when I jump into the multifamily. I want to be able to make people love where they live.
I think you spoke so much in that little bit of piece that I just am kind of in awe. Like, it's so true. It really resonates with a lot of people, especially when they do watch HGTV, right? Like, there are so many things that it makes you be inspired to try new things, to look at things a little bit differently, but also work towards them. And as you are dabbling, I say, into the multifamily, right? You're doing the investing, you're getting others to be able to do it. What is one thing you look for when you look for investors or people to partner with you on a multifamily deal?
Sure. What I look for is alignment. So, in some cases, you have investors that want a quick turnaround, right? And so I try to be as transparent as possible. This is not a 6-month deal. Like, you're not going to give me money, and this is not a get rich quick scheme. Like, this is real. Like, this is not a scam. None of this is completely real. Like, what I try to get through is that understanding that, hey, we're trying to hold the investment for 3 to 5 years. If it's a quick turnaround, if the market reacts and we get a better deal and we're able to exit in 2 years, we're going to do that. We're going to do right by you. At the end of the day, I want to make sure that you understand that I'm trying to be a good steward of your money as I am with mine. And so at the end of the day, I want you to feel good about it. I want to keep you in the loop. Like, I want active investors. I don't want people that necessarily don't care, because I want you to feel it. Like, because to me, the better investor that's going to go out and talk to his friends or his or her friends, talk to their family members and get them into the deal, is that one that I can create into a raving fan. And that raving fan is a person that's going to be engaged with me. You're going to be on all the webinars talking about the different things we're doing with the property. You're going to be on all the different emails. You're going to open the emails when we drop it and we're talking about, hey, we're going to put in a new countertop here. This is what the layout looks like. You're going to be on the email that's going to talk about even the tenants. Maybe we might get a couple surveys out there and the tenants might share how they're feeling about it. Hopefully it's favorable. I want questions. I want our investors to ask questions and just be more involved with it. Granted, you're just a limited partner, but you're not just a limited partner. You're a partner on the deal. And so I like active investors, those that are engaged, those that we can not just do this deal, but we can look at the others as well.
So when you do your getting all the people to join you, do you advertise yourself as the coolest guy on the internet, or do you use something else?
I try not to. It comes up. The problem is, just like with anybody, you're not going to invest with someone you don't know. And the best way to find out who somebody is to Google them. And so that they run into me right there. So I normally don't have to do the work. They'll do it for me. But if I'm at a bar, hey, it's a fun bar conversation.
Oh man, that is so awesome, man. And I got to tell you, the thing that I find interesting in real estate, and you actually hit on it. And I don't know sometimes if even on our podcast we really touch this very often. I know I do once in a while, but it's the feeling that you also. It's great to do a project. It's great to exit. Everyone talks about making, obviously the headwinds and tailwinds and all these things, but it's the people and the impact, right? Because at the end of the day, one of the things that I completely sometimes think that you have landlords or owners that completely disregard the tenants, and it's about what they're trying to basically, what their involvement, what their needs are, and how they're going to execute the bottom line. Where sometimes they don't forget that there's someone else in there living that every day, where you might live it once a quarter, right? Or things like that. So I bring that up because as you continue down this journey in the pathway of like picking the partners and doing these different things, how are you trying to vet out, or what kind of tools are you using in order to ensure that the people on the other end that you're partnering with will be in alignment with you specifically, because of the fact that you're wanting to have such high deliverables, especially from the people on the other end?
Yeah. So what I would say is having active conversations. So, the first thing, of course, before any investor is going to, send you 50 to 100K, is they're going to want to talk to you. And I like to have a series of conversations. Like, let's not just talk about the deal specifically. Let's talk about each other. Let's have a good conversation. Tell me about, like, your lifestyle. Tell me about your family. Tell me about you. So then I can really kind of in depthly understand who you are. So then when we do have those hard times, because they're going to come, every deal is not the same. It's not always going to be peaches and cream. There might be certain deals that go wrong. I want to be able to know that the person that I'm talking to is someone that's like a human that understands that I care and I understand that you care. Like, I don't want to have a person in front of me that when I have to share the bad news to, that they feel like, oh, this is some scam artist or whatever. Like, I want it to feel real. And so I think that the best way to do it is constant communication. And you can't do that, at scale. Like, I understand if you have 100 investors, it's going to be hard to do. But I think for me personally, when I get to that point of having 100, 200,000 investors, I want to have a team that is actively talking to our investors. Like, I do not want anyone to invest money into any of my funds without feeling supported and heard. Like, I want them to understand that we care, and I want to know that they care.
That's big time, my friend. And as you continue on that journey, I will also give another piece of. This is one piece I just shared from my situation and some of the things is I always find it where it's interesting that people sometimes do not understand how to keep in touch or understand that the little things matter. I know that Brittany is really big into one of the things I actually will tell you that Brittany has a heart for people. And one of the things that she always talks about is like the client experience, the investor experience, how important that is. As little as getting a gift basket, maybe they're in a Christmas or a birthday card, and even sometimes it's just as little as going, if they're in your area or if they're ever in your area, going out for coffee, dinners, whatever. I can't stress enough that sometimes we don't have enough emphasis on that. And I know that that's one of Brittany's passion points right there. So it's bleeding into me a little bit more. I'm getting a little softer over my time. No, but I want to throw that out there. And then one of the things I was going to say, Merrick, too, that I think that it's an underutilized tool that people do is the opportunity to have investor dinners, outings, or get-togethers. And they don't necessarily have to be these like really robust, crazy things. I actually know a guy who told me, and I'm actually going to try to incorporate something like that. He says he sometimes just hosts the Kentucky Derby parties where all of a sudden he might just have people over, they get to dress up. He might pick an area or do something in his backyard or whatever, but it just gives people that spirit and that community with an investor. So that's just something to throw out there. But the investor and client experience is something I think that we all could get better at. And I know that's a big deal for Britt, and I'm glad that for you it is as well. So.
Yeah. I feel like at the end of the day, the deal doesn't happen without them. And so they should be respected and cared for. Like at the end of the day. And for me, like 50,000 to 100K doesn't come by easy for everybody. And so that too, you just have to care. And I don't know if it's because of my marketing instinct. I don't know if it's because of the humble beginnings. I don't know where it comes from, but all I know is that I actually do care and I know what it takes to save up that much. And for you to deploy it to me, I'm going to make sure that just like, anything, if it's my money, if it's your money, it's going to be treated the same. Like I have to make sure that I do right by it and I want to multiply it 10x. So, because at the end of the day, if I get that 10x smile that you guys have, I'll get more.
I absolutely love it. I feel it. I feel your energy, and to be an investor or to be able to collaborate with you on deals, I think just you exude the energy, you exude the positivity, and that's sometimes hard to find in this industry in some facets. So I appreciate you doing that. And just sharing on your last, you kind of lead me right into my next question. So as our company, our motto is faith, family, and giving. These are three things that truly resonate with all of us. If you can pick one of those that resonate most with you, can you elaborate on that?
Sure. I would say faith. So I did go to a faith-based school, Liberty University, where it was very Christian, Southern Baptist. And, there I had to, everything happens for a reason in our lives, right? And so I kind of touched on me being very depressed going into school because my parents weren't together and I had to live kind of a lifestyle of, being with my single mom. I know my father, he moved to Jamaica. Dad, if you see this, not hating on you, but, being that you weren't around as much, it wasn't helpful to my growth as just a man. As, having, a woman having to grow me into a man isn't necessarily the easiest thing for her. And it's not even fair for her to have to do. And so, of course I had my uncles that try to chip in and try to be there for me. But I realized right away, once I went away to college and I got to see other people that had both parents, the difference. Like I got to see the difference, and I got to see kind of like the family and the community that resonates behind it. And so like I grew very depressed. I was just like, yo, like, why is my life like this? Like, God, like, do you just hate me? Like you had me, birthed me into this world just to hate me? Like, what's going on here? Like, why do I have to live such a struggle life? I have to buy my own car. I have to, pay for my own tuition. Like, I was just really upset when I'm seeing my other friends getting like a stipend from their family, $1,000 a week to blow it on whatever they want to blow it on, drinks or whatever. And we're not supposed to drink in our school, but, we won't name anyone, but so of course I'm getting very upset, even upset now thinking about it. But then, I realized after, I would go to church 3 times a week while I was there. And like, I really developed more of a relationship with God. And I realized, again, a lot of things happen for a reason. And the only reason why you're going through what you go through is because he knows that you're strong enough to get through it. And you're going to be strong enough to get through it to where you're going to be able to be like me, to share it to somebody else that might be going through something similar or even harder. And they need to hear that same understanding, that same thought process, that whatever you're going through, you too will get through it. You just got to remember that it's there for a reason. There is a pathway forward. You just got to figure it out. You got to choose today to figure it out and just do it.
Man,
I gotta say, I'm sorry, but literally you brought tears to my eyes because it's so impactful and it's so true. It is. God doesn't give us what we can't handle. It's just how do we make sure that we lean on him through the journey that we're on, right? We continue to lean in. So I appreciate sharing that. Sorry, Angel, go ahead.
No, sorry. I was just, I mean, I actually will tell you, Merrick, a lot of times we also feel like, why I love having just different walks of life on our show and the willingness to share is the impact and also the idea and understanding of we're not alone. I will tell you right off the bat, you're not alone because the 2 people that are sitting here in this podcast with you come from humble beginnings as well. And one of the things that I would stress though is that it's interesting how as you're going through different life journeys, you don't even realize the impact that watching the things around you can have on you. I went to a Christian boarding school for during my younger years, especially, and I was one of the only minorities, and B, I was the only non-scholar. I think I was one of the few non-scholarship. I was one of the few kids on scholarship at the school, and I worked at the school and one of the things that I remember seeing is like I'm working at the office. I see people, and I'm like, man, that guy has it, and that guy has it, and that guy has it.
Yep.
But then something happens where that I bet you've probably experienced, where all the growth and all the challenges and all that learning and all the things that happen also leads for you to be going down a certain path of prosperity and growth. And I also, one of the I guess, the byproducts of sometimes when people have it too easy, I've also seen the people that came up through the ranks with me. And Brittany can attest to some of this stuff herself too. And all of a sudden you're like, you thought they were way ahead of you and way better off. And then we look back today and we look, and not comparing, but it's like, you did not have the mental fortitude and you did not get well equipped to deal with real life today. Where now, who's ahead of where or who's experiencing what. So your journey is inspiring because of that very thing right there, is that your humble beginnings through what you were going through, and then to turn around and have this energy and spirit that you're on our podcast. How many of them are on podcasts? Remember that.
I love it.
So just in case if you ever need words of encouragement, I just want to make sure you're aware, man, this is powerful. You did say, though, and I know that you have it already next to you, so I don't know if that's the one you're going to choose, but if you are going to recommend a book or a movie that touched you, what book or movie would that be in your life?
So it's actually going to be a book that's not even here. No offense to everyone that's on the panel here, but because I'm honest, we're going to be honest. I would say the most impactful book I've read to date is The Millionaire Next Door by Thomas Stanley. And I can speak to it why. Because for the most part, growing up, humble beginnings, as the three of us are, I realized right away, like, I need to figure out how to make money. Like, how do I make money? What's the best way to become a millionaire? Do I have to, make a Facebook, sell it? Is that going to be the way? And so I read this book, and during the time I was reading it, I was going through a lot of financial struggle. Like, I basically could keep like $50 in my account. Like, I'm over here buying random stuff like shoes, clothes, whatever. And so I'm reading this book, and it's all about being frugal. It's all about like kind of challenging yourself to understand the numbers that are within you and the numbers that are like in your bank account, your accounts, like actually looking at them every day, looking at like your credit score and keeping score of it and having a plan of like, all right, this is how much money I need to save in order to get here. And not only did it like kind of force you to do that, it gave you examples of the millionaire next door that you might not know, who doesn't wear the most fancy clothes, doesn't have the fancy car, doesn't have anything fancy, but what they do have is have a fancy bank account, because they're able to save regardless of, maybe they don't have the best income coming in, but since they have that mindset on saving, they're able to kind of collect and accumulate so much more than a person that does make more but spends more. Because it's not necessarily how much you spend, it's how much you keep. And so it kind of got me in that mindset. And then after reading that book, I was able to save, like $7,000 within, I want to say it was like 6 to 8 months. And I remember walking up to my uncle, and I showed him, and I was just very excited. I was just like, I can't believe I did this, with such a small salary, but I would have never been able to do it without reading that book. So it was the most impactful book for me. I can't say that I still follow those things, but I try, because now I do have the fancy car. Now I do have the nice microphone. I have the nice camera. I need to chill out a little bit, but I do know how to save. So I can try it. I just don't do it as much as I used to, if we're being honest.
I love it, man. I love it. I gotta tell you, first of all, great book. And by the way, it is an interesting read, because for those who haven't read that book, it actually challenges you to be like, oh my gosh, what the heck am I thinking, and why am I doing what I'm doing? It does kind of give you like almost like that punch in the gut, where you're kind of like, all right, here I go. But also I commend you on being able to strive for that. But yeah, man, at some point you need that fancy car and mic. So I get it. I mean, come on now.
When you come from audience, when you come from humble beginnings, sometimes you just gotta feel it. Walking into the dealership and just getting whatever you want. There's just a feeling that you just have to do. And right now, I have my BHAGs, and I have to share them, because it's gonna happen. And I might, when I come back on the show, hopefully I'm invited again. When I come back on the show, we'll talk about it. But my BHAGs was, I'm 38 years old right now. I told myself, by the time I'm 40, I want to be able to fly in a private jet. And so that's coming soon. So just so the audience knows, that is coming very soon. So we'll get there. And then hopefully I'll have the video. I want to take my son with me on the flight, but we'll see. I'm trying to make that happen this year, but we'll get there.
Oh, man, that's great. Well, as we get ready to wind down this show there, Merrick, I definitely want to ask you a couple of final parting questions. The first question I'm going to go ahead and ask you, if there's a topic or something we haven't covered in our show that you want to either give advice or share with the audience, what would that be that from your lens?
Something that we didn't talk about. I would say live, right? Like, we talked about work, a bit, like, coming from humble beginnings and this and that. But I would say sometimes when I see other people, not just in our industry, but just across the board, and I see this like with a lot of different people, they're so fixated on working, checking that email, and being so connected, they forget that life is meant to be lived. Sometimes it's okay to disconnect. Sometimes it's okay to just go and get you a glass of wine and just not do anything, not answer your phone, turn your phone off, right? It's okay to go on that vacation, right? We don't know necessarily how much time we have left on this life. At the end of the day, the stuff that you're thinking about coming, the next 5 years, the stuff that happened to you the last 5 years, it doesn't matter. What matters is right now, living in this moment right now, and just understanding that you have a life that you need to live. And yes, I'm not saying to be reckless with it. Of course, don't be reckless, but understand that you too deserve to live. You don't need to be stressed out and have, this anxiety every day. Just be grateful that you have another moment. Because I've seen so many people, even my neighbors, pass away. And I say to myself, Merrick, you don't know what day is going to be your day. So today you need to live and just live it however you want to.
I couldn't have said it any better myself, my friend. And I got to tell you, audience out there listening, don't forget LIVE, live. My man Merrick just told you that, because that's a big deal. And I think that's huge. And that also means that I'm glad you mentioned wine too. So if my wife's listening, she knows I'm entitled to have a glass of wine. So,
that's so funny.
But also, Merrick, if someone wants to find you or the best way to connect with you, what would you go ahead and say that would be the best way to do that?
Sure, I say Instagram is probably the easiest. I know I'm private, but if I see you, you look like someone that's not spam, I will accept you. My Instagram is Merrick Lee Jr. So that's MERRICK Lee LEEJR. And you could find me there. If you want to follow my company is lovecapitalpartners.com, and makes it very simple too. If you want to contact me there, that's fine too.
No, man. Well, I really appreciate that. As we wrap up another episode of Taking a Leap in a Commercial Real Estate Podcast, I want to make sure you guys are aware that we always have a rule and a motto that we live by. But actually, this time, I actually get to say that our guests got to hype on it a little bit more than I can, which is just continue to live, but more importantly, build those relationships, not by going wide, but by going deep. Relationships is where it's at, and truly taking the opportunity to live that life the best as you can. And I cannot thank you enough, Merrick, for just reminding us sometimes that we just have to focus on those very life simple, important things that go a long way. So I really, truly appreciate having you, and hope that you guys enjoyed this episode, and we'll definitely have to have you back soon, my friend. So you guys
awesome.
Thank you for joining us on the Taking the Leap into Commercial Real Estate podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please take a moment to support us by subscribing and leaving a positive rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And remember, the views and content shared on this podcast do not reflect that of Keystone Private Capital. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next episode.